What's good, everybody? C-Jack here, bringing you another episode of The Last of Us. I'm your host, C-Jack, with my co-host right here, the great legendary Megaran. How are you doing, sir?
What's up? I'm good, man. I just got done a intense workout, so I needed some time to recover. It's been a while since I've been at it, so yeah, I'm kind of hurting right now. I'm feeling like Joel after those stairs.
Oh, the flights of stairs he went up in that episode.
Yeah, that's how I'm feeling right now. I'm like, but no pain, no gain, I guess.
Is that your legendary proton cannon on your left, sir?
Yes. A friend of mine made this for me. Shout out to Bradley Speed. This is 3D printed, and
that's pretty bad.
I use it sometimes if I need to. Gotta take out a bad guy here and there. Here
we go. All right. Well, we'll get into it. So our story begins. We're in episode 5. I like to call this episode, my subtitle for this, A Brother's Love. We're going to talk about episode 5. Now we have more on Sam and Henry. If you guys saw last week's episode, they got the jump on Joel and Ellie. So straight in right away. It wasn't as I thought it would be, considering they're at gunpoint at the last. Again, they're really good at putting a cliffhanger at the end of these episodes. They just want to easy out. So what did your thoughts on that?
Man, yeah, it's like, okay, where are they gonna go from here? This is the first time where, of course I felt major emotions throughout this episode, and as I have with every episode, but this is when a bit of a gripe starts to come up for me. And
gasp, you?
This is a guy, I don't want to just be in here like, oh man, it's the greatest ever. Like, I feel like when you love something, you got to be a little critical. So I'll get to it by the end, but it's nobody's fault. I think the only thing that I would fault is that there's only a limited number of episodes in this season. So I feel like things start going too fast. And that's really all I'm going to say,
Now you see where I'm going with it. I felt this already by episode 3. Like, there's a lot of, because you must have did your homework. There's a lot of like, well, why just skip this chapter but hopped into this chapter? But we'll put a pin on that.
Yeah, we'll get to it. But I do feel like when you don't have a lot of time and you got a lot of story to build up, this is what, a 40-hour game? Probably,
Minimum. That's 2 weeks. Have you played it out like a work day? Yeah. Or a work session? Yeah.
So yeah, it's maybe a 40-hour game that you're breaking down into 8 episodes, an hour to an hour and a half. It's got to move fast. And my only issue, this one and last, is like, you start off an episode being like, oh, who are these characters going to be? What? This is interesting. Okay. And then they're dead by the end. And this happens 3 times at least in this story where you're like, all right, let's get to know these people. And then it's like, done. So it shows the finality and in true like HBO fashion. People said that about Game of Thrones back in the day. Like, oh, don't get attached because you never know. So it's kind of that way too.
Who's the king of doing that? Anime. As soon as you get attached to, especially Attack on Titan, as soon as you are attached to a character, done.
They're done.
But
don't get too attached. That's my only issue with this episode. But we can run through it. But I just felt like, man, there was some interesting dynamics that seeds were planted, and then it's over. We'll get to
it's plucked. All right, so they were so that the alliance was made with for Sam and Henry. They need Joel's help. They figured out how well Joel handled himself in combat. They were like, listen, we know a way out of here, but we need you. Why do you need us? Well, you guys obviously know how to handle yourselves. And I love the dynamic when they were having this conversation, like, a way out of here past all that, that raid party out there. Oh yeah, in the tunnels. There are no clickers down there. Last I checked. And he's like, defied last I checked. I was dying. Like, oh, did he say like 2 or 3 years ago? I mean,
Yeah, it
come
was like
on.
years ago. Yeah, it's years ago. I overheard somebody saying, ain't nobody there, like it was like, oh, you don't know anything.
Right. I mean, you know how fast weeds grow? These are plant-based organisms. But I digress. So we'll talk about the interest points where they went to this underground bunker. I guess the first wave of survival people. It was like a daycare / school. And it was interesting while they were going on their adventure together that Ellie was already befriending Sam at a child level, which they both desperately needed. I mean, how did that touch you?
That was good. First, I kept thinking like, oh man, this is exactly what she needs, and they both need. They need a friend. You start to think, well, maybe Ellie's reacting a bit younger, like below her age. But
True.
You got to remember, there's the development that she has come up in puts her probably at a younger age socially. So she's like instantly able to relate. On a child's level, which I thought was cool. And it did a lot to humanize her a bit because she's all, hard exterior, cussing, just a rough kid. And it finally brings her to an innocent child's level. And also with Henry and Sam, I didn't realize that in the game, the brother's not deaf, right? Was that something that was added?
They added, yeah, it was definitely added. I did more.
And it was a great, I think it was a really, really great addition by the show writers to be like, let's add something that kind of shields him a little bit from the terrible things in a terrible world that he's in, is that he can now escape because he's drawing, he's writing, he's not hearing the screams, the yells, the gunshots, all these terrible things that are just happening around him. So that was a really good plot device to add in, I think.
That's right, folks. He can only see the terror, but not hear it. but all jokes aside, we got more dynamic on Catherine, and I was right. I wasn't sure, but she has this golly over Redenbacher personality when she speaks. But she's like, okay, you know what? Your services are no longer required, and just put a bullet in somebody's head without even blinking.
Oh yeah, but she's is it Kathleen?
Kathleen,
yeah. Yeah, she is like no joke, But I like how she kept it very simple, like, oh, like you gotta die, like that's just what it is, like ain't no other way around this, like, I appreciated that. I don't want to go too far, so I'm gonna follow your lead.
You're good. And now you understand her rage, because I like the title of this episode, To Me, A Brother's Love, because ironically, here's the kicker. So Henry and Sam are in a situation because of the factor that Henry took out Kathleen's brother. So I think it's ironic, fast forward, that she's after these two. Now we understand why she's out for blood. I wasn't sure if they were going to go with the original game plot, but, that's obvious. So they come up out of the tunnels, folks. They get out. And again, it wasn't too much going on in this dialogue in this series. But before they get out the tunnels, now I'm getting ahead of myself. So Henry and Joel had this heart-to-heart where the kids are playing. And he was like, I could tell you were a father once. Maybe she's not yours, as they argued in the tunnels, because I thought it was a funny moment. He's like, so you and your dad can handle this. I'm not her dad, or he's not my dad, in unison. Like, okay.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
And he was like, you've taken some lives, though, right? Only because I didn't have a choice. And he was like, listen. And, he's sharing his heart to Joel, like he needed to get off his chest. Like, what did that mean to you? Like, I felt that it touched me because he's trying to look for his humanity, too. Yeah,
I like that. And that's also, I think there's another conversation they have where he talks about he's a bad guy. Like, Henry being like, same time, where he comes into the thing like, you think I'm a bad guy. And he's like, well, I am. I'm the bad guy because I did a bad thing. And, and I think the opening of that, to take that further, to be like, yo, Joel's taking a lot of lives as well. But bad in this world, good and bad just don't exist. It's about surviving.
Bad. Right.
Yeah, like define bad. Like you're doing it to survive, which was was that the name of this episode? Was this the Endure and Survive one?
I want to say yes. I want to say yes.
Yeah, I believe so. So Endure and Survive, first of all, a little oxymoronic. They both mean the same thing, but it just kind of gives you a lot more of the that's the goal. So there is no good or bad when you're just trying to endure and survive. Like you just need to make it. So there's no good and bad. It's just survival, and you got to do what you got to do, and a father could understand, I think for sure, like taking a life to save or giving a life up to save your own, blood, so because I'm sure Joel would have done the same thing,
over again before the whole thing. Well, he was there day one, which is crazy. He was much younger when he saw this happen, like in the beginning, where people like Ellie were born into it, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But so the gang goes up. Now we're officially through the tunnels, and they're getting picked off by this terrible sniper.
Picked off is an ugly word. They're not getting picked off at all. It's the opposite of picked off. They're just the dude is just ching. I don't know. He's just not a good shooter.
They're getting suppressed. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that was his job. He's just supposed to hold you down. He's not supposed to like kill you, because he did not do a good job.
No, for Joel to go around and outflank him, the guy's 50. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
And then it was.
It was an old guy. To be fair, the sniper was an older guy, and
that's true.
That was probably going to be his last day on the job, one way or another.
I have one day of retirement. Here it goes.
I don't like that. Well, I guess I understand it, but I don't like that dude really gave his life up like that. You know what I mean? Like the sniper, he was like, "Yo, I don't want to do this. Chill." And you still want to pull out on him? Like he snuck up on you. He's obviously got skills.
Dude, I would have. One, he had skills enough to get past you. Two, you knew help was coming. That's what bothered me. I'm glad you brought that up. You knew help was coming. All you had to do was buy some time. Don't give your life away. Now, if Kathleen didn't say anything on the radio, I can see that as, you know what, fuck it, I'm out. No, he's like, we're on our way. Just drop the gun, be like this. But, I've seen it in a bunch of movies several times, like Die Hard. They're like, what do you think trying to beat you? Oh, I'm not trying to beat you. I'm just trying to stall you. And they give a subtle hint that backup's on the way. And then they pull up. Some of that.
Yeah.
Right.
But, he's an older guy. He wasn't built for this, I guess. Apparently, clearly, this guy was just there as fodder to get murked.
My boy said fodder.
Like,
it's true,
as my friends call me when I play Call of Duty, he was a meat shield. So
I'm done. That's terrible.
Yeah, he was just a meat shield. He was just out there to get got. So they pull up, and I'm just like, oh, it's a wrap. Like this is kind of it. Like you see big old trucks just busting through. I was like, okay, somebody's gonna go right now. And
I mean,
it was I mean, it really felt like the end. I mean, they're running from the truck, like the terror. Like this show does it to me every episode, where I feel like real terror. Like, oh snap, it's about to be over, and that's kind of how I felt seeing them kind of running from these trucks, vehicles, and but the action was just amazing. Like it really goes down.
It was worth the build up. It was worth the build up because it wasn't slow burn this episode. I agree.
Absolutely.
And so when they get there, Perry, right? Her right hand
yes,
man?
Perry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Perry pulled up, and by the way, that's okay. I'll talk about that later. But Perry pulled up, and and the whole crew, they have these armored. They're ghetto rigged armored, but they have firepower. Even if Joel he took control of the sniper mount, which is a good thing. The bad news is maybe if he had a Gatling gun, he would stand a chance of holding him off while the kids can run. That wasn't the case. So it was poetic. Now we hear why the beef between Kathleen and Henry was established. So he was about to, again, I guess the guy had the right to live, honorable, like, hey, when I get the word, get my brother out of here. I'm screwed. Just save yourself. Which something I would do. I'd be scared shitless, but I would. So he about to give himself up, and I thought she was going to spare him or something. You know, some kind of inkling of humanity. But naive me, right? So she's like, okay, goodbye. And then you've seen Transformers the movie, right?
Yeah.
86? Yes. Okay, to me, that's how it felt all over again. Remember? Yeah, I'm just weird like that, folks. Remember how Megatron ripped through that space shuttle? The opening scene and wiped up the first floor? When that, you know I'm going with that. When that floor dropped, I was like, oh my God, when that floor came out, it was over. And mind you,
it was a wrap.
Mind you, this wasn't like 4 or 5 guys she had with her. She had easily a battalion.
Yeah, they had an army. And so I'm just like, wow. I kept thinking like, all right, how they gonna get out of this? Like, that's all I kept thinking this whole episode is, all right, how you pulling this off? You know?
Right.
And somehow, you know, some way, while all this drama is going down, you know, he's able to, you know, Joel's dropping some cover fire, letting, you know, Ellie get up out of there. She gets into a vehicle. There's a joint in the vehicle. And I'm just like, yo, there was just so much drama. I was just like, yeah, it's a wrap. Like,
Joel was over there, like, using Mandalorian skills.
Yo, for real.
Yo. Mando.
Yeah, that was some Mando moves right there. Man, I love the visual of that truck going down the sinkhole. That was just so good. A really, really great shot. So much happening. These later stage infected comes out, you know, the big bloater, is that what it's called? Okay. And then we get him just wrecking shop. And I love it, man. It was just, he was like, nah. And you know, I guess we can go into what eventually happens. And you know, old girl gets murked. And I was not expecting that. Like, I gotta say, I was not expecting that. Like,
no, I was thinking something like an ongoing antagonist hunting them down at least.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is the big bad. You know, like, we got a big bad. And that big bad also has a story with her and Perry. Like, all right, they're gonna hunt them for the rest of the show, maybe. I don't know. And
that's why you have beef with it now. Now it's adding on to me because you introduced a big bad and then they just eliminate it. It was a good concept.
Yeah. You had a chance. And I mean, I don't know, maybe that's how it happened in the game, but I just feel like that to me was the perfect time to insert a boss character that follows them around, is hunting them, is, you know, has some motivation, you know, for, my whole squad got wiped out, you know, like now I'm like, really get you.
Right.
Yeah. Now I'm really mad. Me and Perry are going to get you, you know, but nah, like, and I fair enough, because in that situation, no one should have got out alive. So fair enough, because it was really like that was a no-win situation. But yet the kids make it. But yet the kids make it. So, you know, thanks to Joel, the kids make it. And then we get some beautiful moments in their final place, but which you can tell. You can get to that part.
So they get back. Yeah, you're right. I know. Here it comes. I'm trying to be strong here. So she tells Sam, hey, aren't you ever... No, first, let me get this dialogue right. It took me a week to get into my head. Sam writes to her, are you ever afraid? She's like, I am, but I try to be brave because of Joel, you know, whatever. And she's like, oh, well, what if, even if the monsters come and get you? I forgot how it was worded. I knew I was going to botch this. Or even if I turn into one, or something indirectly like that. She was like, what are you talking about? And so he shows the bite. And I'm like, damn. I was hoping the young dude was unscathed. Right.
Yeah.
So she gets desperate enough, folks. Cuts herself. Hypothetically, you would think it would have worked, but clearly there's more science involved, which is interesting enough.
Yeah. her saying, "Oh, my blood is medicine," you know, and, it was a valiant effort. It really was. And
touch it.
Yeah, and then he says, "Please stay up with me." She says, "Yep." And then we fast forward. She ain't up. She fell asleep. I mean, it happens.
Oh no, he's up all right.
But he's up. And that was, man, like the drama in that is just like, man, with him facing the other way, I was just like, oh my God, what's it gonna be? You know? And by that time, I had mentally kind of checked out of terror at this point, because I was like, oh, they make it through everything. You know, after the whole shootout scene, I was like, oh, they good. So I had let my guard down.
Wait. Your boy said, it can't get worse. That was pretty fucked up. It can't get worse.
I was like, yo, they just got through a really, really terrible thing. It's no way you're going to turn this little boy. Nah, you ain't going to do it. And
insert face guts.
And I was like, no. And like, first I think, I don't know, man. I'm always thinking comedy. Like maybe he's just going to pretend and be like, rah! You know, like, and scare her in a joking way. You know, which would, that would not have been cool. But I thought he was gonna be like, rah! And then like, just kidding, haha, and a big hug. Nah, it ain't go down that way. So here he comes, and like, I guess you could say, thank goodness she kind of like they busted through the door, you know, in the scuffle, you know, which gave, you know, somebody else a chance to save them. And I can imagine Joel being in a rough spot at that moment, being like, I don't want to just pop your brother in front of you, you know, so we got to do something here, you know. So, but Henry is already thinking ahead, like, yo, I got to do this. Pulls out, pow. And at that moment, like, his reason to live is gone, you know. Right. And so that just, like, this is his entire reason for his whole struggle. It's the, you know, it has been, And so this was it for him. Like,
just give me the gun, man. You went through too much. Just give me the gun, and he couldn't.
No, and I understand, man. You've been fighting for your brother for all this time. Like, there's nothing left at this point. So that level of desperation is like, it's gone. Like, what do we have to run and live for? So then we get a terrible. I love the fact that when there's an obvious killing in this show, they don't show it. Like, they don't go for the blood and guts, you know, on a lot of these like terrible scenes. They cut away. They cut away, and I appreciate that. Like, we didn't need to see it, you know. No. So we heard it. We heard enough. Yeah, you know what I mean? Some shows, they go extra heavy on the blood and guts, so they just want to, you know. And I appreciate them not doing that. But again, I mean, that basically how the episode ends. You know, we get the I'm sorry, we get the grave they create, and
so poetic, written.
Yeah, and I had people even afterwards watching it. They were like, "Oh, why is she sorry? Like, she couldn't do anything, and this and that." But it's like, she tried. She thought she could. You know, she really thought she could.
It's psychological. She really thought she could. And that was just her. And I think it was poetic on the thing that he was communicating with, ironically. Yeah. I'm sorry. In language, you know. Yeah.
And that was deep.
That was a good. It was deep. All these episodes are written quite well. That was deep in comparison as much as it can be like episode 3. Oh, I'm using your system. How many clickers do you want to give this one so far?
All right. If the total is what are we doing? 5 or 10? What are we doing?
We did.
What's the max?
We did 5, right?
Yeah, I think
we get out of 5.
I'm gonna give this one 3 out of 5. To me,
3 out of 5.
To me, like, it's still a spectacular episode, but I just felt like I wanted to see a little more out of Kathleen and old boy Perry. You know, so and it's not their fault. Like, I get it. Speeding these things up is what you have to do. But man, I don't know, maybe that's just me thinking in terms of what television has taught me. You know what I mean? It's like Walking Dead would have been like Negan for 17 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's Negan all season. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So to me,
Negan
other shows have kind of changed how I would look at that. So maybe this isn't a show that has a big bad, you know, like the big bad is the world, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so they're just trying to fight against the world that they live in, you know? So you're going to meet people and they're going to come and go, you know? And so I felt like you could have done a whole, maybe they still will though. So I won't say too much, but maybe, you know, Kathleen Perry could get a whole episode, you know, somewhere down the line. They could. I mean, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to, because they're dead now, but you know what I mean?
It's possible because they did a flashback episode with your favorite, remember, number 3, the whole the whole episode, the whole premise was a flashback. So you never know, true. You know, what
yeah. So they could flash back and get us some important backstory in another way. So, but yeah, I did not expect them to go. So I give it 3 clicker.
All right. Well, onward to 6. Short version is I loved the beginning already. Our heroes mark a trail onto some winter wonderland, right? And they go into this cabin. You know, I just love how the way of life now. Back in our era, we knock at somebody's door to get a cup of sugar. You hold somebody at gunpoint for directions. It's amazing how that works now.
Like it's just a different world. Yeah, you got to pull a gun on them.
And it was funny because the old folks was like, "Hey, what's going on, honey?" And the lady wasn't just sitting, not knitting. I'm exaggerating, but she was just might as well be knitting. Oh, we got some company, just chilling. And he went for his gun. Don't even bother. You know how this goes. And he just sat down. Now, here's what got me cracking up. So the old folks were like, "Seriously?" And the husband was like, "Seriously? You made him soup? What? He's a guest." He got a gun in your head, but she still made him soup. I was dead.
Oh, man. That was so good. I mean, those two, I really hope we see more of them. They were incredible. Yeah. Like, just, you know, just
they lighten the mood.
Yeah, like sarcastic, dry, just right to the point, and hilarious. Like, and that really added a lot to the show because the show is so intense. So that was awesome.
That was smart. So and he was like, real quick, and he was like, "Do you want directions?" Yeah. Did you tell him the truth? Yeah. Okay, that'll give you the right directions then. Like he's gonna lie to him.
Yeah, like he was gonna lie. Right. Oh man. That was really, really good. I think just seeing a different type of character in this world was great. Mm-hmm. I was really like welcome, especially after the emotions of the last episode. For sure. We needed it. Yeah. Needed a little bit of a break, sort of. And we get another break where, you know, basically they get to Wyoming and they realize that, you know, Joe's brother's alive. And like, here we go, getting good news. Like, it's like, wow. Like, I really thought at this point, the way everybody's dropping, that they're going to get there and, we named the town after him because he died, but he was a good hero. You know what I'm saying? I thought it'd be something like that. You know what I mean? Or they would give a flashback, and then maybe they still will. I think a flashback for him and see what he's been going through would be pretty dope. I think that would be cool. So they get out of Kansas City. We're getting into Jackson. Beautiful scenery, looks awesome, all snowy and really cool. Reminds me of Red Dead Redemption. You know, you're getting some.
Reminded me of. Thank you.
Yeah, you're getting some cool Western vibes, and I mean that's what, you know, that's that territory for that kind of thing. So and, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, no, it really was. It looked like the town was untouched by the plague and all the issues. The dam was a power source. You have enough power. You know, they just pretty much what was it called in not gonna say The Last of Us, in The Walking Dead. Hilltop or something like that. The kingdom is all sufficient. It was really nice. And hold on, I'll throw it again. And Maria was married to his brother now, and she was in wasn't she in True Blood? I can't think of her name.
Was she? I didn't watch True Blood.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of her name was. I wrote her name down. Rutina Wesley. That's her government name, but she was in True Blood. People will know. And she was I can't think of the star's name. Anyway, nice to see her back in acting again. She hasn't been doing anything since then. And they were able, the dog, before we get too far, the dogs, where they cut them off, because now we know why it was called a river of death, because nobody came back. They picked off new people coming in, which was smart to put a rumor out there, you know?
Smart.
And very smart. And the dog didn't rip Ellie apart, considering. So it makes you question more about her blood. And it said the little motherfucker was licking her up and down like a puppy, you know?
Yeah,
Joel's like,
that was great.
Please don't talk over her face. And he looked, and she's over here having the ball.
And she's playing. Yeah. It's great. Just more of her, like, what makes Ellie so interesting is like you just never know. You know what I mean? Scene to scene, you never know how things are going to react to her, how people are going to react to her, how she reacts. It keeps her very, an unpredictable character, which is great. So we get to where we're walking around. You see, like you said, Tommy's been remarried. Things are moving. Life is good.
Yeah.
And it's good to see. I think the last time we saw it was probably in the Bill and Frank episode, where you see a community where people are actually just living. You know what I mean? And you don't see Fedra, you don't see gates and barbed wires, and like a dangerous type of feel.
No firefly.
Right. Yeah, like it's just people just living, man, and that was really cool. But the vibes are a little off. Like immediately the vibes get off. Like they give them some food, everything's all good. But like I love how Ellie had to tell Joel like to be polite. You know what I mean? To say, what was it, thank you or something like that. It was like,
right.
Yo, like people. That's your brother. Like, what you doing, man? Like, say congratulations, man. And it was just the vibes, man, were not there. And it's like, wow, this is what you've been traveling all this time for. And now it's weird.
Very weird.
And it's like, did you expect him to just stop his life? Like, did you expect that? Like, come on.
Joel was asking way too much from his brother. I agree. He was like, well, I didn't hear from you transmitting. I thought you were dead or something. Joel, look at my life now. And then she was pregnant. I'm like, what do you expect the man to do? So, and then this starts happening. Joel had that heart condition like Bruce Wayne and Batman Beyond. Couldn't, the stress started kicking in. We saw it 3 times, I counted. That was my count. That he had either severe anxiety or something.
Yeah.
But I think he was just stressful, and he was going to pass the torch. Now, I have a clip of this, and I'll show you guys right here, that they did the conversation, fast forwarding a bit. The girls had their talk, but the conversation that Joel and Ellie had, I'm leaving you to my brother, was practically identical to the game. Because he was like, dude, he's younger, he knows the territory from here on out, he's better for you to continue this quest, whatever. And the fact that she got pissed off, people are always leaving me. It was like an Academy Award nominee. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, they went off, man. Like to see them have a real moment of conflict where that's emotionally driven instead of just being like, fuck off. You know what I mean? Just like, I'm like, you're really like about to leave me? Like, nah, and man, it was beautiful. I watched some of the stuff. I hope that's the clip you have of seeing maybe the side by side of the voice actors doing it. And man, it was so good. And just seeing them and the same amount of emotion that goes into that, was incredible. Like we see Joel just being mean, grumpy, stoic. He finally is admitting like, yo, I'm slowing down, I'm failing, like I'm hesitating. I don't know if I can keep her safe. Kind of thing.
She's not just cargo anymore. He cares about her. Like I said last week.
Yeah.
We did that.
He cares. Yeah. Absolutely. And so now he's like, if I can't fail, like I don't want to fail, and I'm afraid that I will. And so
he broke down in front of his brother.
That was real, and he needed that. Tommy's the only person he could have told that to. You know what I'm saying? Like he wouldn't have told Sam and them that or anybody else. So this is some real stuff that he had to get to his brother to really be realistic about and open with himself. So that was excellent.
Yeah, what I respect about Tommy, despite how happy he is with his current situation, he was going to not consider. He was going to do it, even though he was irritated. But well, I got a family here, but I owe you this much, so he's going to do it. So the next day, fast forwarding, which I thought was very interesting, Joel's like, this is your last chance if you want to. And Ellie's like, she's like my fiance. I swear to God, I said we're doing it. There was no negotiating. He's like, we're just getting the fuck out of here.
Nah, there's no negotiation.
Right. So he came out of his, Joel got out of his way. He's like, I may be slowing down, but I'm not out. I guess he came into a realization like, I'm still breathing. What am I doing? I can do this.
Yeah. So here we are. He's like, yeah, I like that. He was like, well, I came early to just steal a horse, and he's like, bro, I would have gave you a horse, man. He's like, well, look, I'm still here.
Tommy had this look like, bro, I was going to give you a horse, but okay. Right?
Yeah, it's like, and he's like, I just think it's fair for her to have a choice. And I was like, I respect that. Like, nah, you can't just bounce on her. Like, you got to choose. You got to let her choose. That was cool.
They got a decent amount. They got a decent amount of supplies, and they go to this lab full of monkeys. And I don't remember this being in the part of the game. I was going to ask you that. Do you?
I didn't play the game this far.
Oh no! Yeah. Okay, then I just don't remember.
This is all new to me.
Got you. Okay, it's uncharted territory. So they go into this college, looked like a school, and they had like college, like medical lab facilities, whatever. And they had these monkeys all over the place. I guess they were caged up, but then they're just wild now, feral. And they find some remnants of where it looked like Joel's original camp was for fireflies. So they find something on the map, and they're going to go to another destination. Before that happened, Calamity strikes. Joel is shot.
We got some dumb punks. No, it was like a something that was stuck inside of him, right? Like a piece of wood or a piece of bat.
I think it was a blade. Somebody stabbed him. You're absolutely right. So
yeah,
Joel got the guys trying to raid him. Go ahead.
Yeah. He got a chunk ripped out of him. So we don't even know when it happens. They're doing their thing. They're fighting. And you turn around and it's like, oh, they got me. And I'm like, all right, man. Joel's a tough dude. It's all good. Let's just go. And then next thing you know, he falls off the horse. I was like, yo, no, not right like this. It's Joeling.
And Ellie, Joeling, wow. And Ellie's over here like, hey, come on, stop fucking around. Just poking
right.
And then cliffhanger.
This was another excellent episode. I think a huge step up from last week, just in my opinion. Even though both of them were great. You get some resolution, but you also get a whole new conflict, which is incredible. You get the whole face-to-face one-on-one, the argument. You get and now a interesting dynamic switches where now Ellie has to take care of Joel. She has to somehow save him and travel God knows where, and just about the best cliffhanger you could get.
Of course, it's awesome. So, on the clicking rating, what would you give it?
Oh man, this is all the clicks.
5.
Yeah,
Same.
It's off the chain. It's off the chain.
Yeah,
this was a great episode, man.
It was fun. It answered questions about his brother. The cliffhanger, you can't hate that, and the passion involved. Yeah, I give it 5 as well. 5 clicks.
Yeah. I love Tommy's quote. I wrote it down where he was like, just because life stopped for you doesn't mean it stopped for me. And I was
like, damn. They were fighting.
I was like, damn. He's like, bro, I'm moving on. Like, we things are okay here. Like, and now you come in kind of complicating things, but you family. So that's what family do.
And you know what though? And it's rare for a little brother to stand up to the big brother like that. He's like, bro, you can't come into somebody else's house making demands, especially being gone for a minute.
Right. Like, chill out, bro. So I like Tommy a lot. I hope we see more of him. I think this will be the time. Hopefully Tommy can, find them somehow and help out and be a big part of the last few episodes.
Yeah, I hope so too. Well, that's it. Unless you guys got anything in the comments, please feel to leave them below. Rand, you want to send anything out? Any plugs? Anything you've been working on, sir?
Man, well, I'm always working on new music. I got a new song coming every Monday on my YouTube page, Megaran Mondays. So check that out, youtube.com/Megaran. And yeah, I'll see you there.
All right, guys. Well, this is C-Jack. Feel free to share, comment, subscribe to the channel as well. Check out his page as well and all of his wonderful content. Until next couple of weeks, peace.
Peace.